Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to answer a question. I was in a Twitch stream the other day and I was talking with somebody who was considering getting some retro consoles modded. And I think I asked him if he was going to do it himself or if he was going to have it sent away. And I think he said he was going to save up some money and have a professional modder mod them. Which is totally fine, right? If that's what you'd like to do, I have no problems with that. The question is, should you mod your own consoles? It's not necessarily a question of can you mod your own consoles, right? Like maybe you don't have the experience or the time or the money. It's more of a question of should you mod your own consoles. I think back to how I got started with modding. I had just gotten Atari 2600 and I realized that Atari 2600s only have the RF cable. There are some little adapters that you can get to convert RF to the coaxial so that you can play it on newer TVs and things. It really doesn't look good. I started looking about if there were any ways to make it look better. I think I found Retro RGB's website. That was my first introduction to RGB. Long story short, I got a soldering iron and I learned how to solder, and I got the RGB mod for the Atari 2600. And I tried it myself. It was fun. It was a really enjoyable experience. Since then, I've modded 15 different consoles of my own. I wanted to go over some pros and cons of modding your own consoles instead of having a professional modding service mod them for you. Let's start with the pros. The first big pro for me is it saves you some money. Now, this is 100% debatable, right? Depends on the console, depends on the type of mod that you need to do, depends on if you have the tools already available. Some mods are actually pretty affordable to get done professionally. Off the top of my head, I can think of like the Super Nintendo or the NES RGB mods from Voltar. They're pretty affordable. They're like $75 at the time of this video, not including shipping, but that's pretty, and they include the mod. They include the mod chip with it. So that's pretty reasonable, I think, if you don't want to invest in the tools and the time and effort to do it. But if your plan is to do a bunch of consoles, then yes, in the end, you will save that modding cost and the shipping cost of shipping your consoles back and forth. The second pro is you learn more about the console that you're trying to mod. You pretty much need to know the ins and outs of that mod that you're doing. You've got to do the research to know where the mod is to go, what you need to solder, or if it's a soft mod, what the steps that you have to go through it. So you learn a little bit more than you would have if you just send it off to somebody else and had them work on it. That's one of my big draws to modding consoles, is you get to learn more about it. If you really do enjoy a console, this is one way that you can get to know it better. The third pro is you get to learn more about just electronics in general. You get to learn how to solder usually if it's a hard mod. You can learn slightly more advanced topics like how to manufacture a mod for yourself if nobody is currently manufacturing them. There's also troubleshooting. If you run into issues, you've got to know where to go to find out how to fix the problem that you're having. Learning about electronics and how to troubleshoot them is an amazing skill to have. Here's an example, right? After I started modding consoles, I started getting into racing drones, right? So these bad boys, the electronics everywhere, different components, and you've got to learn how it works. This was an amazing hobby that I stumbled into because I had soldering skills from my Atari when I started. The other good part about learning how to troubleshoot electronics is being able to fix things, right? So this is a toy car that my son had. There was something wrong with the electronics inside. I was able to take it apart, use my soldering gun, put it back together, and it was working again. So that's always a possibility that you'll be able to fix things that you might have just thrown in the garbage if you didn't know how to fix it. The fourth pro is you learn which mods are quality and which ones are not quality, right? I'm kind of thinking more of like, the pound cables instead of actually doing an RGB mod. You stay away from the cheap and simple solutions and you go for something that's more quality. And you can also avoid scams. You learn to find the types of mods that are more quality and not a scam. The fifth and last thing is satisfaction of doing it yourself. And to me, that's the biggest draw. There's no better feeling than finishing a mod and you press the power button for the first time, or you boot up for the first time after doing this mod and it works. You have the satisfaction of knowing that you are the one that did it. Most people in the entire world do not know what you just did. They have zero idea. Like 99% of people on the planet are not gonna know what the heck a Super Nintendo RGB mod is. None. They're not gonna have any idea. But you just did it and it works, and you get that opportunity to be proud of yourself. Now let's talk about the cons. The first con is there's a big upfront cost, especially if you don't have the tools. If you need a soldering iron, flash drives, or desoldering stations sometimes, and sometimes you don't just need a soldering iron, you need a desoldering station. There could be, several $100s worth of parts that you need to acquire before you get going. The second con is it takes effort, right? Not only do you need to learn about the mod, but you have to actually find, the instructions on how to install it. There's all these hidden caveats that you aren't forced to reason with when you let somebody else mod your system. Not just physical effort of doing it, but the setup, the ordering the parts, getting the right tools, learning those tools. The third con, related to the last one, is sometimes it is difficult to find that information that you might need to do a mod. Sometimes the documentation is old or maybe not available at all. And as we go forward into the 5 years, 10 years from now, some of these mods that may be the best possible mods still are, you won't be able to find the information about it, maybe. And only the people that have been modding it the last 5 years will know how to do it, or have the stock, or have the actual mods available. That happens with mods like, for the 360, for example, there are a whole slew, and the GameCube, there are a whole slew of mods that have come into existence and then have died out because maybe there are better alternatives, but they're just gone because they lost interest, or some legal action happened or something, and they were just forced to shut down. So it can be difficult finding information. It can be difficult finding correct information, or the best information for your console and for the mod that you're looking for. The fourth con is potential to ruin your console. It could be a big turnoff for some people. Here's an example. Remember that Atari mod I was talking about? Well, that mod happened in this console. Here it is. So here's the output ports, right? So that's the Atari RGB. This console doesn't power on anymore. Because I don't have an electronics background, I really don't know how to troubleshoot and fix this. I don't think it was a problem with the mod. I think it was a problem with my work. I've got not only one, I actually retried it on this console as well, and they both don't work. Now, I'm not getting rid of these consoles. I don't consider them garbage. I really hope that someday I can fix them. And that's a big goal for me, is to fix these consoles. There's a chance that you could mess up royally and no longer have a working console. The fifth and last con is there's a potential for a worse result. Clearly, when you're first starting out, your mod work is not going to be as good as somebody who's been doing this for years or decades. There is a slight art to soldering, just learning the routine, the best practices for these things, best tools. They have them. They have the knowledge of how to use them correctly in the quickest amount of time and to the neatest effect. All you have to do is look at Voltar to know what I'm talking about. That last con is lessened slightly as you get better at soldering. Soldering is not impossible, right? It is a skill that you have to learn. At a certain point, you do learn, and you get better and you produce good quality mod work. It really isn't rocket surgery, but it does take some effort, but you can perform the mod work reasonably, especially with the quality of guides and stuff out there. I want to kind of summarize my thoughts on this. I definitely think if you're watching this video and you already have some background in mods or the types of mods that you want to work on, if it's a soft mod and you aren't afraid of bricking it, or you have another console, you're not worried about losing that console to bricking it with the soft mod, go nuts. That's not really what this video is about. When it comes to hard mods, I definitely think that you should attempt it. You should get some skin in the game. There's a saying, rising tides raise all ships. And I really believe that applies here. If all these people that are interested in mod work, retro or newer or soft mods, if everyone's level of skill and knowledge of all of these mods gets higher, that can't hurt. That's always going to be good. You're going to have a more knowledgeable consumer base if you're a mod creator. There might be more people that have the ability to work on new mods, right? So as you learn these skills to mod, just the ability to do research about the console that you'd like to mod, that will definitely bring more people to the mod scene. That is the biggest reason why I think everyone should learn how to mod. You'll just make the modding scene a better place. I know there's a lot of you out there who are maybe on the fence of doing it yourself and just needed a little extra nudge to get there. Thanks for listening to me, guys. Let me know what you thought in the comments and on Twitter. I'm trying to release new videos every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Get subscribed so that you don't miss them, and hit the notification bell. I'll see you in the next video.